Greetings, class. This is Professor Palmeno, and we are going to talk about the media and social media. So let us first begin with the media. So the media is any information that is communicated to an individual or a mass audience. Any form of information that is broadcasted, published in print or in digital form, or streamlined to a mass audience. The media is used just to refer to news broadcasts from different networks, but it includes television, film, newspapers, and even streaming sites. Often it's just referred to as mass media or news media, or even mainstream media, as you've heard before. So the media can have a bit of bias. And with the bias, it has the majority of media outlets all have some form of bias that follows its programming. This can either be biased towards a certain group of individuals or attacking or supporting a certain ideology. More of that later. And usually they're monopolies. Most operate as conglomerates. Corporations and shareholders own several networks and broadcast a variety of content, but they remain in accordance with the regulations and guidelines set by the corporations and the government. So often they run into trouble or may not with their use of facts, the way they receive information and interpret it in their own way. And they must support their interests of the shareholders and the corporation. They must keep the interests of their company and shareholders in mind while producing content that will keep viewers interested in their network. So many people ask, well, is it important? How important an event or information is measured is usually decided by the network and its affiliates. Is it newsworthy? This is a subjective way to measure its own worth, as in what events are newsworthy or not. The same goes with if it's important, if an event is important or not, if it's definitely newsworthy. And why should I care? Why should I even care if I look at news from this source or that source or any events from any related media? How it perceives the audience and its own viewers. Do they care enough? How the media is able to perceive the audience and its own viewers. Do they care enough to watch? Do they care enough about their audience? Does the audience even care about what's happening? And media is crucial, as it determines how the information gets propagated to an audience, such as in a small town or even across the country or even the world. You may know what's happening in your own town, but you could know what's happening on the other side of the country or even on the other side of the world. So let's move on to social media. Social media are websites and applications that allow users to create content, share content, and participate in networking. Usually data and information is used, and this is in order to create a better user experience. They optimize the platform's usability in order to adapt and conform to its environment. And as with social media, as you may know, it's followed by many. There are over 1 million users combined on social media, has multiple users, you name it, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. There's a lot of people utilizing social media and has to use technology. So while technology is advanced in its use of social media, it also limits the user interface. Unless you know how to code or program and create certain applications, then by all means, you understand the technology, but most individuals just log in and start using its basic functions, even just defaulting to the default settings, so to speak, and its interests. It's related to keeping the user interested in the material. It must keep the user vested in whatever platform it's available. And this relates back to the ideology and the hegemony of social media. And we'll get more into that later as well. And decisions. We believe we can make decisions based on the information. You could post what you did that day. You could post up a picture. You could post up a video, much as what's happening now with this YouTube channel, you know. But yeah, we believe that we can make decisions based on the information that we have, and then we could share this information from the content that we've created. Otherwise, I would probably just lecture this in class because I enjoy sharing this in class, but I'm just sharing some information on here. Yeah. So there's an assumption that everybody or almost everyone has social media, that everyone has one. You don't have a social media? How could you? How could you not get connected to the world? Well, we'll talk about that connection as well. So it's viewed differently when an individual doesn't, when he doesn't have social media, just as I was mentioning before. And this is related again to the ideology and the hegemony of our worldview that is present. What ideals are important or not, and how that gets um, propagated and through the constructs that are available and that are made. So you believe you are connected, but it creates a false sense of connection among people. I mean, there's people that are Facebook friends, but they really don't see each other in real life, even though they may live right down the street or maybe neighbors. And that's interesting, all I have to say about that. And now with social media, and as the older we get, many users begin when they're young. Many begin when they're just children. Parents just shove a cell phone or a smartphone or a tablet or computer right into that child's hands, and it becomes integral to them. It becomes a part of who they are, and it becomes difficult to take it away from them. Many of you maybe grew up with social media in your hands when you were a child. You already had a smartphone or a tablet in your hand when you're a little kid, and that's what you could remember. That's how it begins. You start young, just as it's just in the same way that we talked about how you're influenced when you're younger and it shapes your worldview. So I'm going to discuss more on that in a little bit later in this lecture. So, as in with social media and its users, it can become problematic. There's a lot of problems that are related to social media if you already did not know. If you haven't ran into any issues in social media, well, congratulations. You're one of the very few that haven't. But most individuals who use social media encounter some issues. So there's a multitude of problems that arise from the information placed on the internet. You become a distraction, so you avoid responsibilities. And it could also become an addiction because you feel good. You feel good when you use social media. So you want to keep using social media in order to satisfy that craving that you have. I may have some craving for cheeseburgers or such, but that's an addiction on its, that's a different form of addiction. Social media, going back to social media, it could become an addiction. You just want to keep logging in on your phone. Did I get likes? Did I get views? Yeah, don't let that happen. So social safeness is compromised. Who is watching me? Well, apparently there's a lot of people who are watching you, who are monitoring you as well. They track your every move. And it's not just governments and corporations or companies. I mean, it could be private individuals as well. That may be a scary thought, but we'll talk more about that in a different lecture. But definitely there are individuals who are watching you and who do have access to your information. And many remain uneducated about this use. They only rely on the information they understand, and they avoid traditional methods of learning. We're going to talk more about the traditional methods of learning later on in this lecture, so stay with me here. And it could create antisocial behavior where you avoid face-to-face interaction, and you avoid other individuals in real life. It's just I don't want to go outside. No, no, no. Well, that is one way that social media could, inhibit the social interactions of individuals. So, don't be like that. Now, social media's relevance to safety. Relevance to your safety and identity. Personal data is used. Anything that is shared by you, it can be used by another individual. Yeah, they could take your address, your phone number, your entire identity. Yeah, they just swipe it. There you go. It's like, I'm going to share this with my friends and this and that. Well, somebody else who may or may not be your friend may take that information and can use it against you. That's just the way the world works if you are on the internet. So it's because information is free floating. Anyone can grab the data that is shared. It's not protected. No, it's not. Anything that you share on social media is definitely being used to track you, to study you. It's all being used and it's available. And it's accomplished by tracking you, as I said. Sales, searches, sites visits, everything. It may sound a little scary, but it's in fact just the way the world works if you're on the internet, of course. But, you know, you may go on there and most people just don't care. You just don't care how they're seen. It's like, oh, whatever, I don't care. Most people are like that. They disregard dangerous sites because there's a lot of dangerous sites that you can get yourself into, not just on the deep web or the dark web, but even on just the regular internet. But most people tend to gravitate towards a virtual environment, one that they feel safe around, that they think they feel safe around, when in fact they probably aren't. And its rapid growth equals a popular platform. So anybody remember MySpace? No? Oh, go look it up. Yeah, there's not a lot of people on there, but it was one of the very first social media platforms out there. Even before that, it was Friendster. And I think their servers got shut down. So yeah, the more people use these platforms, these apps, these social media sites, then the more they get to invest and build on their program. Facebook remains popular. At first, it was only used for university students, but now anybody could get on their Facebook. Your mom and your grandma and your grandpa, the whole family's on Facebook. Hey, let's all get on Facebook. Then there's Instagram, and then there's all the other ones. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. And even, I mean, if you want to go along this route, even YouTube could be considered a social media platform as well. And as stated before, there are over 1 million users. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Oh yeah, Twitter. I forgot about that one. Yeah, Twitter's also one too. And this creates a multitude of problems among its users. Not just with social media, but with media in general, because all the issues that you have with social media can be related to the media in general. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. So let's connect media and social media now that we're on these relevant topics. The connection between the two, media and social media. So both are used to deliver information and make a profit. Mass media, or news as it's called, and social media are often used separately, but they are both under the umbrella term of the media. Both have their similarities and their differences, but they have a lot in common, especially in the way information is delivered to their respective audiences. Mass media and social media both must rely on the transmission of information to an audience efficiently through the use of technology in order to effectively reach the audience. How information reaches individuals as media? Printing presses, newspapers, magazines. Yep, they're still around. Servers that are used to house data from websites, and even the cloud, just the way that you use the cloud. Or the drive. Any online drive, uses servers, satellites to broadcast to televisions and radios. You go outside of a news network or any network, and you're going to see a lot of satellites. That's usually because they're transmitting powerful signals over the air to other areas. And radios used to relay information, from one radio to another. Anybody familiar with ham radios? Yeah. And computers. Computers are used to assist in the analysis and the synthesis of the data, usually to edit videos or such. Yeah, unfortunately for me, I really don't have editing software, so whatever goes, goes. All right, here we go. So individuals receive media and information. How do they do it? A newspaper or a magazine, a website on their computer, or on their smartphone. Usually many people just read those online webzines. Is that even a word anymore? Webzine? Well, I guess it's just an online magazine or just a website. Yeah. All right. Really dating myself here. Tablet. Tablet. You could look at information on a tablet instead of a you get all your newspaper on a tablet through digital or television. Good old TV, the tube, as people call it. They could receive their information that way. Each one serves as a medium to transmit and receive information to a mass audience. Or what do you know? You could link up your smartphone to your smart TV, and then you could just watch what's on your smartphone on TV in a bigger screen. Yeah, there you go. Solutions, right? Mm-hmm. So while the mediums for either platform are important with respect to each other, a majority of the audience in most of the developed Western world relies on a digital means for information. This means they get it through television, through the internet, from their computer, or smartphones and social media. So, which in this case is either through TV, your computer, or a smartphone. The latter being the most preferable choice among individuals, a majority want to receive information either from mass media or from social media as it allows for ease of adaptability. Even though most mass media outlets are trying to imitate social media platforms, they are in fact controlled through corporate interests, and they monitor, filter, and censor content much more carefully according to the standard federal regulations and their own guidelines. A lot of content that you could find on the internet through social media, you may not be able to find on your regular TV channel. And that's usually because of the viewerships, the interests, and such. You could just find much more content through social media or on the internet as you can through TV or even streaming sites, Netflix, Hulu. Hey, shout out to Criterion Channel. I love watching Criterion Channel. If you haven't had Criterion Channel, go check it out. It's got really great films. All right. So most media outlets try to create a dependency on their use of their information. This can be either through mass media with networks on television or with social media, which many individuals have begun to use and rely on for a multitude of uses. Social media has begun to replace many traditional forms of research and recreational use. By watching and researching on a social media platform, many people believe that they could save money, save time, and watch somebody else do it. So if you want to learn on how to change your tire, you're just going to go and look up something on, social media and say, hey, I want to save some money and I want to learn how to change a tire on my own. So then you look at somebody and you're like, okay, I think I know how to do it. And then you do it and you mess up. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, in this case, it'd be like if you actually really did, fix your tire or fix something from your car, or even learn how to cook something or do something like make ice or boil water, learn how to brush your teeth or tie your shoes. So people begin to avoid books. And this is sad. This is sad. They avoid reading their information. It's kind of depressing almost that people are replacing traditional means of learning with social media. There's many individuals. You ask an individual, hey, what's your favorite book? I don't have one. Oh, all right. And then you ask, hey, what's the last social media platform that you used? What's that? Have you logged into your Facebook or Instagram? Oh, yeah. See, yeah, it's kind of depressing. So books become negative since it uses up space. Money must be used to buy one, or you could go to the library, your public library. And it requires more resources to find one. Well, I don't have bookstores in my place, and I don't even know where the library is, many people may say. And oh, it just takes too much time. When I want to find something, I'm just gonna look it up on YouTube or whatever. And then just, yeah, just watch it. And then, yeah, since it's a lot easier as opposed to like reading it because it takes too much time. Well, then you're learning the information when you read it from a book. You're actually taking that information and forming it into your own analysis in your head and retaining it. I mean, unless your imagination is broken, which I hope it isn't, because that's pretty depressing too. If your imagination is broken, let's just hope your imagination is not broken. So, okay. So it uses up space. Well, I mean, personally, I have a lot of books, and yeah, they take up a lot of space. But these are books that I like. I love books, and when you use to buy one, yeah, I want to buy a book. Yeah, requires more resources to find one. Just look it up. Where's your bookstore? And it takes up too much time. Well, as opposed to trying to watch somebody do it over and over, and then you may or may not learn it. I'd rather just take the information and learn it on my own. Even even when I'm reading a book for fun, I love reading. I love reading books, and I love just taking the words that an author wrote and just imagining it how that that looks in my mind, as opposed to maybe watching a movie, because that's the director and producer's vision of how that book was. I mean, nobody could take away that personal experience from reading a book, and that's what I love. That's what I love about reading a book, because it becomes personal, and you imagine those characters in that setting in your own personal way. But this is what really happens. The money and resources that could have been used for a book, if the option was a library or a bookstore, don't forget to visit your libraries or your local bookstores, or any bookstore for that matter. Instead is used to fund, either directly or indirectly, the social media platform that was utilized instead. I mean, it's not really free unless you know, use somebody's internet that you're not supposed to. But anyway, I mean, anyways, you're using the internet, you're paying for the internet. You say, well, I'm using the internet for free at my school. No, your fees pay the internet at, at the school or wherever place you go. Well, you could say, well, I'm using the internet at a public library. Yeah, but then your tax dollars, that's where it's going to. So see, anyway, you are utilizing that resource and you're still paying for it. Might as well go and get something that you could hold in your hand that's not your device. All right. So, since many individuals forsake a traditional means of learning and instead rely on media and social media for information, it can lead to a susceptibility in its relevance to the audience and lean towards being reliable even without prior research or knowledge, such as people who don't like to read books. Just as long as it subjectively fits with the views of that individual, such as just leaning towards one news site or another news site, or just getting your information from one source or another, yeah, you're not opening your mind to learning more about different subjects. As a result of this information through media and social media, you are being shaped by it. Whatever you see that's around you, whatever you read or don't read, or whatever films, TV shows, news, you are being shaped by it, and it's creating that worldview. A different worldview or identity can be created through a variety of these platforms that may or may not reflect your identity in real life. So you could look up different sites and say, well, this person likes this and that, but you're like, no, that's not me. I was just looking this up. No, according to this is how this individual is, and it may or may not reflect who you are. But your information is used, definitely. All your information is used on what you've researched online, or even what you've seen on television. Information placed on the internet through social media sites, but also may be included in a news report on television. So you could come out on TV through news. Like, oh, look at that individual. He may have done something. Or look at that person. Look at that. But definitely, if you're on the internet, your data is being used and mined, metadata from social media sites through corporations that just want to use your information. And if And if these larger groups can get them, then individuals can get your information as well. Nothing is safe. It's not protected. You are not safe. And this may or may not represent who you are as a person. It just could be somebody that you may think you are, but maybe you're not, or maybe you're trying to find who you really are. But don't use the internet to try to find who you are. I mean, really, just don't. That's just my little quip. So this information is spread across numerous mediums and may lead to misleading information about you. In print, the internet, through TV, social media. So media, when exerted through this digital and analog space regarding personal data, can create and shape the worldview that may or may not exist. So it may create this different set of criteria that shapes who you are or may not shape who you are, and how other individuals or groups of individuals might see you in society. This happens with individuals who are not well informed and rely on media, social media, and the internet. And when I mean media, I mean mass media, news media, and such, without doing any traditional forms of research, or you just technology in general. You just rely on technology, and you're not trying to actually innovate your own thoughts and your own analysis. And this usually happens because you try to find information on who they are, who you are, or through different sets of views of what the data presents. And it could lead to finding different information that could be misrepresented or even misunderstood if you do not know how to filter this information. So a lot of individuals may want to find more information about themselves on these different mediums. You constantly hear it. Let me Google myself. Let me go through a search engine and look myself up. I mean, a lot of people have done it, so they just want to see what's out there about them. And unless you're pretty famous or internet famous, you're probably not going to find a lot on you, unless there's people that don't like you and they write things about you on the internet. So, yeah. Views and likes on social media. Yeah, it's like, oh, how many likes did my post get? Or how many likes did my picture get? Or how many views did this get? That's all the information that you want. And maybe some people just want acceptance. They don't feel that they're accepted in society, and they want to have some acceptance, or something else from a platform that invokes a pseudo-like democracy. I mean, it's there's just people that like and dislike, and that's just how some videos go viral. That's how memes get created. You're trying to find something else. You're trying to create something else. But it leads to conformity. Yeah, it's probably a word you didn't want to hear, but in fact, that's more than likely what it is. It is the acceptance of a certain ideal to a certain degree, excuse me. Thus, the norms relating to these concepts are established, and therefore the acceptance of these ideals permeate into society. Individuals are no longer forced into these platforms. You're no longer forced into liking social media, the internet, the media, anything. Instead, you welcome it into your life. You embrace it. You praise it. And you desire to share your information with the world. You want people to know who you are. This is a part of the ideology which is connected to the hegemony. For it becomes part of your world, and people no longer begin to question it. You accept it into your own life, and you desire it. And you want that connection from either media or social media, digital or otherwise. That is how you are connected into that worldview that's been shaped from the available resources on media and social media. That's the way it works. So go read a book. Go read a book. Yeah. Go read a book. Go read some short stories. Go read some poetry. Go read a novel. Yeah, go have fun. And yeah, thanks for joining me for this lesson. And I'll see you next time.